What's going on, everybody? It's Picsoleated, and we're back to covering headphones that may take advantage of or may not take advantage of PS5's built-in 3D audio tech, more specifically known as the Tempest 3D audio engine, and today is no exception. We're taking a look at, let's just get right into it. You probably saw me pulling it up right now. It's the Arctis Nova 7P by SteelSeries. SteelSeries being the company that has been unofficially the long-standing winner of having some of the best, if not the best, gaming headphones in the market, and more specifically for the PS5, the predecessor of this headset being the SteelSeries Arctis 7P. I know it's a little confusing. This is the Arctis Nova 7P. The previous one was the SteelSeries Arctis 7P without the Nova. So yes, they've got a tall order to fill with this headset. Now, the Arctis Nova P is a less feature robust and PlayStation version of the original headset they recently released, known as the Arctis Nova Pro. That headset is also compatible with the PS5, but it's not designed for it. It's designed to be more compatible with a variety of devices. It has a ton more features, but that also comes with a much higher cost. And that's not to say that this headset is not feature robust. It has plenty of features, which we'll talk about in a bit. Thankfully, I've got the more affordable version in hand today, and realistically, for most of us, this should be all you need to get a great audio experience with additional features. But does it perform better than its predecessors? Before we find out, make sure to raise the frequency on that like button. If you happen to enjoy the video at any point, connect with that subscribe button for more videos, and pull that noti bell out of your pocket so you don't miss out on future videos, or just to help the algorithm. Who knows if it still works anymore? Let's figure it out together. Hit all the buttons and we can figure it out. And at any point, if you think this headset is for you, I've left a link in the description where you can go ahead and check it out. Okay, we're gonna touch on a bunch of attributes for this headset, starting off with the comfort. Now, the comfort is amazing on this headset. It's very lightweight. Contrary to the name of the company, it's called SteelSeries, but the headset is mostly plastic. The only thing that's really steel on here or metal is this headband right here. It allows it to be very flexible and sturdy and durable, but because the rest of the headset is primarily plastic, it's actually very lightweight. When you wear it, it's so lightweight that sometimes I don't even feel like I'm wearing them. And that is a good quality to have in a headset. You don't really see that on many of them. You'll either feel the headband on your head, or you'll feel the ear cups around your ears over time. It'll just, get muggy or something like that, especially if it's leather padded. And this is what SteelSeries does really well, and this is what I'm a fan of them for, is that they use fabric ear cups almost all the time. Not always, because sometimes you do need leather ear cups. Like, for example, on the Arctis Nova Pro, they use leather ear cups or pleather ear cups. Those headphones have active noise canceling, and pleather is actually good for that because it helps isolate the noise really well. The downside of fabric ear cups is that there is a little bit more of a noise bleed issue. It's not too big of a deal because open back headphones exist, and those things release a lot more noise than fabric ear cups. And why I love fabric ear cups is their breathability, and that is my main reason for liking them, because you don't get that buildup of moisture. Your ears don't get sweaty, they don't start feeling hot or muggy after a while. You don't feel that discomfort. They're also well padded, as you can see. When you wear these, you're gonna feel super comfortable. Now, we're gonna talk about this more when I talk about the fit, which is gonna be very shortly, but this elastic headband also contributes to the comfort. There's a design that I really love that SteelSeries uses quite often on their headphones. The suspended elastic headband is made of some sort of fabric. It's much softer than the headband on the SteelSeries Arctis 7P, and it's got a nice design on it, which is always a nice touch. Moving on to the fit, you can see the ear cups right here. They're shaped like actual ears. They're not circular, where it's unnatural to the shape of your ear and will put unneeded pressure on parts of your ear like certain other headphones do. I'm looking at you, Sony. These are not even straight up oval. They're almost shaped exactly like ears, and that's what I love. It allows you to get a nice fit around your ears that won't be disturbing or noticeable to you while you're wearing them. This light elastic band that I mentioned earlier, that's actually adjustable, has a few notches on the sides. You can adjust it by taking out. It's not the most seamless process, but it is a process that allows you to adjust it, so I'm happy that that exists. But this suspended elastic headband means that your head doesn't actually make contact with the hard top headband right here, which means that you will never feel any sort of pressure or pain on your head, and it actually makes these headphones really easy to wear for long gaming sessions without you even noticing that you're wearing them. Now, the ear cups swivel in all directions, and they do adjust to the shape of your head. It's actually very seamless and comfortable, so there are no issues there. And we also have this very sort of firm and smooth headband size adjusting mechanism. Now, there are no notches or anything, so there's no way of tracking how you've adjusted the headset. You will almost always have to sort of figure it out anytime someone else uses your headset, if they need to adjust it or if you decide to change it up for whatever reason. So I'm not a big fan of that, but I do feel like they did it for a more synonymous aesthetic look. So there are no sort of disruptive notches on the headset, I guess. Still, I would have preferred to have notches than to not have them. Moving on to the audio quality on this headset is impressive. It is phenomenal. Like when playing games, the audio is super clear, but you still get very deep bass, which is almost like an oxymoron. It's an anomaly. It's not allowed to happen essentially because you don't normally get distinct audio when you have very deep bass or rich bass because it generally tends to drown out the rest of the soundscape, if you will. But the way they've engineered the audio in this headset is just too nice. Like you can hear the deep bass and you can hear everything around you in the environment, all those high frequencies. You would think pronouncing high frequencies and making them more distinct would make the sound too tinny or everything would sound a little more harsh. But for gaming, it actually turns out to be a good thing. It creates a more immersive environment around you. And because it's able to pronounce everything, even with deep, rich bass, it creates this immersive environment around you where you almost feel like you're there when you're playing a game like Ratchet & Clank or Spider-Man or any of those games with a lot of sort of ambient noise and environments around you. The Arctis Nova P manages all those things really well. Even when I go into the SteelSeries app on my computer and adjust the EQ settings, this headset always manages to pronounce the highs with everything still being adjusted. This is great if you want a personalized sound, but you still want to be able to play like FPS games, for example, or multiplayer games where you need to know the direction of the enemies. Now, I played a handful of games with this, starting off with Returnal, and I always test these headsets out with Returnal because most headsets struggle with the audio of that game just because it's so full of music and sound effects. It's almost like a constant non-stop barrage of sounds blasting into your ears through whatever headphones you're using or your speakers or whatever you want to do. And by the way, Returnal devs, I noticed you put more sound settings in the settings to allow for different types of sound balancing, so that's pretty cool. Shout out to you guys. But with the Arctis Nova P, you can clearly hear the directions of all enemies, and there are a lot of them, while creating this delicious audio environment with lush bass, clear trebles, combining for a nice, pleasant audio experience. It's probably the best audio experience I've had in that game. I played with 3D audio on, and that's how I preferred it. And the same audio mix, however this headset works, I've tried on games like Ratchet & Clank, Ghost of Tsushima, and my experience has always been the same. It always creates this nice ambient sonic atmosphere, and you can always hear the sound effects very clearly. Like in Ghost of Tsushima, when you're swinging your sword and you're stabbing your enemies, it sounds very satisfying. In Ratchet & Clank, when you're activating your boots to start, levitating, skate floating, whatever he does through the environment, or when you're using all the different weapons that have all their own sound effects, it just sounds absolutely great in your ears. And as I always do with Spider-Man Miles Morales, I always do the street walk test where I walk around and try to hear the ambient noise of pedestrians around you and the sound effects that the cars make, and everything came out super clear. It was a very nice immersive experience. You can always tell where the pedestrians are talking. You can always pinpoint the direction of the rumbling of a car that's idling or accelerating. It's a really unique experience, and you really get to enjoy it with this headset. Of course, that's not an important part of the game, but it's definitely something that creates the environment and gives you that immersive feeling. My one gripe with the Nova 7P when it comes to audio quality is that it almost always sounds like the low frequencies are on the cusp of distorting, but they're not really distorting. I don't really know how to explain it. Maybe it's just the way SteelSeries designs their audio mix to allow for really rich, deep bass and still have nice, clear highs without compromising. And I think it's just the unique sound of their headsets. It seems to be a consistent sound in their headies, and I think it's okay as long as everything else sounds great. Now, one thing I wanted to test out with this headset was the audio quality between the wireless connectivity and the Bluetooth connectivity, because it does have simultaneous connectivity, which is pretty cool for a gaming headset. There are probably a handful of headphones that have that feature set at this level and at this price point. To be able to play your games and to have Bluetooth audio still going into the headset is pretty cool. I typically use this in a way that is probably frowned upon by companies, but really who cares? You gotta use it the way you want to use it. I like to play my playlists through whatever music app on my phone while I'm playing games that are open world where there's a lot of traversal in between missions. I think it's a cool way to experience the game world, and sue me, or don't do that. I don't want to lose any money. So I tested this out, and thankfully there is no loss in audio quality when you do this. However, the game audio does feel a little quieter because you're essentially stuck to having to adjust the volume based on your Bluetooth volume. It's kind of hard to explain, but it never sounds as loud as when you just have the single wireless audio coming through. Now, of course, a lot of people use simultaneous connectivity so that if they get a phone call or something like that, they don't miss out on it, and they can just use the headset to talk to people instead of having to take it off while you're gaming in order to complete the call. But the good news is that you can use it in any way you like.
Okay, so this is what the mic sounds like of the SteelSeries Arctis Nova 7P. It sounds very clear. It's actually really loud. This is on 50% volume. This is on the normal volume level. You can tell it's pretty loud. It might be because it's really close to my mouth. It picks up a lot of noise, not a lot of background noise, but it picks up almost too much detail from my mouth. You can resolve this in many ways. You can reduce the volume, or you can move it away from your mouth a bit, lower, above, whatever you prefer. If you don't want it in your eyesight. I really like that this mic is very flexible and it retracts right back into the headset way more seamlessly than the SteelSeries Arctis 7P, which was the predecessor to this headset. The mic picks up a lot of highs. There are very similarities to that Arctis 7P mic, like I said before. It almost feels like an airline pilot's mic, but it is definitely a drastic improvement over the initial SteelSeries Arctis 7P.
Now, moving on to the features, we have quite a few features to go over. We'll quickly go over the tech specs. The audio frequency for this headset is 20 Hz to 22 kHz or 22,000 Hz. We have a 36 ohm impedance, which is somewhat more power hungry than previous headies. The DualShock 5 can handle it if you wanted DualShock. I just called it DualShock. The DualSense can handle it if you want wired audio connectivity for whatever reason with this headset, but it's probably best to use these as wireless headphones because that's how they're designed. They have a built-in audio DAC to convert the signal the way it's designed. Now, continuing on with the features, this headset has a retractable mic just like the SteelSeries Arctis 7P. This time it's a lot more flush, a lot more seamless, which is a good thing aesthetically. It makes it slightly more difficult to pull out, but not that much more difficult. Pull-out game is still strong. We have the adjustable headband, great fabric material, very flexible but also firm at the same time. One cool thing about this headset is that it has swappable ear cup plates, so if you want to customize the look, you can do that. They're very easy to pull off and they're magnetic. Whatever they're doing just works super well without snaps back on. On the left ear cup, we've got a volume wheel, and we also have the mute button that clicks in and out, so it's easy to tell when your headset is on mute or when it's not on mute. We've also got the 3.5mm audio jack. If you do want to use this headset in a wired fashion, which again, I do recommend to use these as wireless headphones because that's how they're designed. On the right ear cup, we do have the Bluetooth and power buttons, which are independent of each other, and I really love that feature. You don't really see that very often on other headsets. You kind of have to maneuver one button to do Bluetooth and power and sort of figure out how that works. Here they've made it very simple for you. If you want to turn on power for the wireless connectivity, you can, or if you want to turn the Bluetooth on, you can turn that on separately and turn it off separately as well. If you just want to use this as a Bluetooth headset, you can just turn the Bluetooth on and keep the regular wireless off. And right below that, we have the side tones or voice chat feature. So if you need to hear yourself, or if you want to hear yourself when you're talking, so you know you're not screaming at your teammates or your opponents, you're able to do that as well. Finally, we have the USB-C input for charging. The Nova 7P comes with a USB-A to USB-C female cable in case you want to plug the headset dongle into a USB-A port, which is the ideal way if you don't want to lose out on a USB port by directly connecting the USB-C dongle to the front of the system. That's right, they haven't changed the design of the USB-C dongle to prevent it from blocking the USB-A port in front of a PS5, which kind of sucks, but at least they give you an alternative to that. You also get a USB-C charging cable, and you get a 3.5mm auxiliary cable for a wired audio in case your battery dies or in case that's what you prefer. As you can see, the light behind me has died, so this is the lighting you're getting for the rest of the video. Now, this headset is rated for 38 hours of battery life on a single charge, and based on my very casual testing of the battery, that number holds up. It doesn't really die on me that often. I do charge it quite regularly, so I guess that's on me. And as mentioned previously, it has that simultaneous wireless 2.4 GHz and Bluetooth connectivity, which is an amazing feature that I'm so glad that they included on this headset. Now moving on to the pricing of this headset, it is somewhat pricey at $229.99 Canadian dollars and $179.99 US dollars. However, it does seem reasonable in the current climate of inflation and price hikes, and considering the Arctis 7P, this headset's predecessor, was selling at $189.99 Canadian dollars. It wasn't as feature robust, and this is obviously a much more updated and feature-heavy headset compared to that one. The price seems fairly reasonable. Now when it comes to the design, there are quite a few things I like about this headset, one of the main things being this flexible elastic headband here, and I love that they put this sort of squiggly design on it. It's very abstract, it's not anything crazy, but it does look nice and adds that little bit of flavor to a headset that's mostly black and understated. It also gives this headset a very PlayStation touch because of that signature PlayStation blue. I love that even though they did put great thought and design into the audio aspect of this headset, they also put a lot of thought into the actual physical design, such as these customizable ear cup plates, these customizable ear cup plates that you can just pull off and replace with whatever offerings they have. It's such a seamless and user-friendly way to customize a pair of headphones that don't really have a lot more going for them in terms of design. So that's a very nice option to have, whether you're going to use it or not. Someone out there is definitely going to use it. As I stated earlier, the rest of the design is pretty understated and it's not very impressive to me, and that's fine because they're designing these for the most amount of people, so they want it to be as universal of a design as possible. But if you're going to make a Nova 7P that is PlayStation specific, the default PlayStation comes with white faceplates, so it would be nice to have a headset that matches that same hue. And while it would be nice to have that, it's not something that makes or breaks this headset for me. It still performs well, it still has nice design features, as understated as they may be. I love that the new retractable mic sits flush against the actual shape of the ear cup, instead of it sort of protruding slightly the way it did on the SteelSeries Arctis 7P. Moving on to the good and bad of this headset, starting off with the good, the sound quality on this headset is robust. We get clear highs, even with adjusted EQ settings and deep, rich bass. It brings out the subtle sound effects, creating a nice sonic atmosphere within the game world. Describing it doesn't do it justice. You do have to hear these in person to know what I'm talking about. It allows you to have a great experience in action adventure, open world games, while still having the best qualities of a headset that allows you to pinpoint your enemies in online multiplayer games and first-person shooter games. It's lightweight, and its new and improved elastic headband is a clear step up from the previous SteelSeries Arctis 7P headband. It has incredible battery life, and finally it has that simultaneous wireless and Bluetooth connectivity that we all pine for and love so much. Now moving on to the bad, this is the only colorway option, so if you wanted something that matches your PlayStation 5, which a lot of us do, you don't really have that option. Now, there is an opportunity with these customizable backplates if they happen to release them in the PlayStation default faceplates colorway. We're just hoping for that. There's no confirmed option for that. Next thing is, I will say that even though this does feel very smooth adjusting the ear cups, there are no notches for customizability, so you don't know exactly where your perfect fit is. You're gonna have to find it every time. And I don't know if this is on every headset, but for me, one side felt a little creaky every time I adjusted it. I doubt that's on every headset. I really hope that's probably just a defect on mine, but that is something to look out for if you do hear that. If you end up purchasing this headset and you do hear that, let me know in the comments. And the final thing is, they did not adjust the USB-C dongle design, so it doesn't block up a USB-A port in front of the PlayStation 5. Of course, they give you an extension cable that goes from a USB-A port to a USB-C, so it allows you to connect this to your PS5 without blocking a USB port, but that's almost like a band-aid fix. It's not necessarily a permanent fix because a lot of us want seamless integration into the PS5, and having a cable sticking out doesn't really look aesthetically pleasing. Of course, it's more of a nitpick, but when you have a headset that's specifically designed for the PlayStation, the Nova 7P, you would think they would think of something like this, especially now that we know that there are solutions for this. And that's my review for the Arctis Nova 7P. Let me know in the comments, are you going to go ahead and pick this up? You think there's a better option, or are you happier with another headset? Let me know in the comments. And again, if you do think this headset is for you, I've left a link in the description where you can go ahead and check it out. I'll catch you in the next one. Picsoleated is a supernova.